So we're going to have a conversation about sellers. I love to go off script, but as I reviewed our notes, you have a wonderful type presentation. Greg, yours sucks, so we're going to go off script on yours.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It does.
I'm just teasing. Just teasing, sort of. Yeah.
Sort of.
I'm just teasing, sort of. Yeah. All right. So if you're okay with this, now again, the problem with using this type of type presentation is that, and it comes from our notes and dialogues when we visit with you, but the problem is it sometimes rotely puts you in a box. I don't like being in that box. When we're learning, I don't like being in the box.
I agree.
So we can go off script, whatever, but this is a pretty good presentation.
Okay.
So this might be the time that we try to stay tight to this, only because it's really cool. So I'm just going to ask you these questions. We'll go through them. So what are the 4 factors that sell properties?
So when I meet with a seller, I go through the 4 major factors, which summarizes my presentation, and that's where we start.
Okay.
And I tell them extremely that, these are in order, by the way, but that's okay.
Yeah.
There are 4 factors that sell your home: location,
Okay.
location. We all know that. Marketing, pricing, and presentation.
Okay.
Okay. There's 2 of those factors we cannot change, no matter what.
Okay.
The 2 factors we cannot change is location, it is what it is, and pricing, because the pricing is created by the market. You don't control it, I don't control it. And later we'll study that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
The 2 factors we can change are presentation and marketing, and we do a very good job with that.
Gotcha. Now, is staging presentation?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. So when we go through the 4 factors, that kind of summarizes where we're going for the rest of the presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
And how do people react to that?
Very positive. I've never had anybody that go, okay, and go into it.
Please
There's
explain
no
it to me.
argument. There's no, now when we get...
Okay, so let's just stay on this for a second then. So do you then organize your presentation around
Yes.
those 4 discussion points?
Correct.
Is this a visual presentation?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. And so it's a visual. You have. Is it a predetermined in terms of it's the same one to everybody? You're following a format, or
Yeah, it's a model that I do. It's pre-listing. They've read through it. They pretty much know it. I'm bringing in the tools to prove what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's what I'm bringing in when I list with them.
Okay.
I never use verbiage like if it sells. When I'm going around with the staging part, I'm like, pack now, because you're moving, period. I never have a doubt in my mind.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So it is a pre-listing package, if you will.
I got it. Okay. So then let's talk about your approach. In your own words, what would you say is special about that?
What our purple cow niche is, I have 2 degrees, one in fashion merchandising, one in marketing, and I used both of those to develop my company.
Okay.
So my special niche is going to be having your home sell 53% quicker for 3 to 4% more money. But you've got to do what I ask you to do.
Now, is that 53% based upon the statistics that you're achieving?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that is 53% quick on the days on the market for that area, whatever that area is.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's the presentation. So when we ask you that question, you said, number 1, you said make it about the client.
Absolutely.
What does that mean to you?
When I walk in, or even on the phone, it is all about them. The first couple of minutes is about their story, all right? And that way...
And how do you do that?
I listen.
Okay, okay. So you ask a question. What's that question?
So I ask, the question is, why are you moving? And if I'm not getting the answer I want in depth, well, why is that so important to you? Well, the 3-question deep question. And then I go in on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being very motivated. Where are you on that scale?
Okay. And what happens in that dialogue? Because you're sometimes going to get people that don't say a 10.
Yeah, some people are not going to tell you the truth.
Oh, okay.
But as you learn their story and their motivation, little things run in between, like health bills are starting to come in. And, little things like that where the motivation is really financial. Whereas, my grandchildren live in Illinois, And when you listen to that, you're able to answer the question yourself, even though they may not be telling you the total truth. And that's the reason I say, if you learn to be a listener, not only will they trust you when you go around their house and you're going to be making those hard comments of staging, because you can hurt their feelings if you're not careful. It's not personal.
Have you hurt their feelings before?
Only once.
Okay.
And it was an older lady. I thought I had her disc profile down. Evidently, I missed it. And so I kind of had to back up. I got the listing, but yeah.
But she didn't like you.
But she
No.
did. She liked me when it was all said. We got her home, so she loved me.
So how do you, okay, I'm just curious real quick, how do you go, when you go through a home and you say, you know, pack it up because you're going to be moving, how do you advise people to stage or present their home without offending them?
Right, that's a great
Because
question.
most of the houses I go into, they're decorated horribly. I am just astounded at the poor taste that people have. I'm continually
Especially where I'm from.
astounded.
Especially in Tennessee.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you do
How do you do that?
you do it very tactfully. I use my presentation. I have a lot of compassion, but I have candor. And before I start, I tell them, I say, we're in a beauty contest. Like it or not, we're in a beauty contest. And I want to earn 3 to 5% more money for you and sell your home 53% quicker. So how are we going to do this? We're going to do this by our staging. So I'll go room by room. Actually, we start outside of the mailbox because that's where it starts. You have 8 to 11 seconds to first impression. So we start out there and we work our way in. And we go everywhere from the presentation of the mailbox and the driveway and the landscaping to room by room. When you come to the room,
By the way, as a sidebar, I think we put that in a book called Shift, but I'm not
Right,
Yes,
yeah,
it
that's
is.
exactly right.
I have
Yeah.
used so many charts from Shift, which I pulled back out when I called Tony, 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago, Tony, I'm kind of like Monica, where's the ball? It has shifted. And I called you because we were late in the shift. We were at the, and I pulled out my shift book and pulled those graphs back out. And I plugged them back in my presentation.
So, okay, sorry. I just wanted to
I'm
remind
sorry.
them, there's
Yeah.
a book that describes exactly
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we go to we start the mailbox and we work our way through the house.
Right,
And we have a
right.
conversation. It's a beauty contest. So it's not about what you like, it's about what the person who's going to buy it. You have to now detach yourself from your home. It's no longer your home, it's somebody else's home.
You got
And
it.
we have to get them, yeah.
You got it. We're selling a
It's a
product.
script. It's a
Yeah, it's a script. We're selling a product. We're not selling your collection of teddy bears.
That's
we are
exactly right.
selling a product,
Yeah.
and we're merchandising that product to sell for the most money for you.
That's exactly right.
I loved your word merchandising. It puts it in a different context, too.
Tell me how you explain the market in detail to people. Ian.
How to explain the market?
Yeah, how do
So-
you explain the market to people?
So we have, like every good agent, we have the comparables with us. We have it in detail because not only do I bring up the subdivision, the area, but we explain very closely, well, this one may have sold dollar per square foot a little bit more because of these upgrades. So I do all the very detailed comparing all of that. I have the trends in front of them. We do a trend chart, so I have the trends in front of them so they can see where it's going, where the market is going and headed. And we prepare them for markdown reductions, just like Monica said. I prepare them up front. In 2 weeks, if we're not getting the traffic, it's overpriced. It's not about our presentation. I mean, 100% never about our presentation because our pictures are as good as they can be, you know.
Gotcha.
So
We're gonna
it
take care of
is
that
the
on the phone.
price because it's either a buyer's objection we cannot overcome, and the only thing that overcome a buyer's objection like that you cannot change is price. So is there a dump behind your house? Is there, there's something I cannot overcome. Kitchen's too small, whatever.
Yeah, and there you go. Well, you're apparently clearly one of your areas of expertise is staging. So let's spend the remainder of our time kind of digging in a little deeper. You have a pretty strong outline here. We don't have to follow it, but walk us through. Give us the mindset and some of the tools that we can leave with to be better presenters and stagers of our property. Ann.
Okay. So make sure that when you want the tools I use for staging, right?
Well, we're going to get to that, I think,
Okay,
right
later. Okay.
there.
Okay.
So let's just back up and talk right now about the benefits.
The benefits of
Sell us
staging.
on the reason
Okay.
why we should do that.
As we already mentioned, Our stats
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
are 53% quicker, your home will sell, 3 to 4% more money. Okay, often we do get multi-offer situations, so it could be higher than
Can I
that.
ask a question?
Yes.
Do you think staging plays a big part of that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
that's part of, that's your discussion, is that because I can't change the location, and ultimately the market will determine the
Absolutely.
price.
That's right.
The number one thing you can do, you're telling them.
Yes.
And the number one thing I can do for you.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay.
It's just like Jason's open house, and he's pinning up that demand. That is his niche. This is my niche.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, and it actually should be everybody's niche.
Yeah.
Staging should be.
Yeah.
I mean, you're telling the truth. This is the hard truth about selling real estate, and that is how you present it is the
Right.
biggest issue. The problem is that we put up with stuff. We don't fix things. We tolerate,
We don't want to hurt their feelings.
No,
and,
but
you
we
know.
just tolerate. But because our life moves on and we love where we live, and it's,
Yeah.
it becomes our cave, and it looks the way it looks, it smells the way it smells. But the problem is that it's got to be attracted to someone else now, and that may mean.
And I
override.
explained that to them. I said, staging is, instead of this group of customer base, you're going to have this huge customer base.
What do you mean by it's a success fee? The cost is the same as buying a home warranty?
We have got it down to a science we know our overhead all the way to driving the truck to my warehouses. It's going to cost as much as a good home warranty.
Which is what?
Well, depending on the square footage of the home, but anywhere from $450, $550.
So you think you're going to ask them to pay you that, or you're going to tell them that's what it's going to cost them?
You can do either. You can absorb that in your cost of, your overhead or success fee where you charge them at the closing table because it's going to sell. It's just going to sell.
Do you charge for staging, or do you absorb it?
I have in the past. In our county, it was not received very well, but we are beginning to do that again since the market came back. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Walk us through this. What staging approaches do you use?
So we have a conversation. Remember I told you, listen to their story.
Yes.
They have got to trust you. They got to be able to know you know what you're talking about, be able not to take it personally when you're going, room by room, because there are family pictures. We don't mind a few, but we don't want a Taj Mahal, of family pictures. Yeah. So you've got to go, all the brass has got to go, and like you said, you live in your house, it's your comfort zone. You don't see this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we absolutely have a conversation
So
before we do their checklist.
Just as a sidebar, what's the number one mistake people make that you have to help them undo?
They don't have the confidence to tell them the truth. They just don't have the confidence, and they don't have the candor and compassion together. If you don't have it together, it's going to come across arrogancy, and that's your opinion, not, it's not going to come across right.
Oh, I got you. When you're working with a seller and you're trying to help them stage their home properly, what's the number one thing that most sellers have to do to get their house? What do you see more often than not? Is it paint? Is it landscaping? Is it?
Yeah,
what
in
is
my
it?
area, it's usually paint and getting rid of the brass. Because we're the South. We don't update as often as you guys do.
I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
paint's cheap. I mean,
Paint's
paint is
real
the
cheap.
cheapest
Yeah,
thing you
paint's
can
real-
do to
no
change.
question about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so final question then, and that is, what are the staging tools that you use?
So we use, we have a staging truck that if I told you what I pay for that, you die. I do everything inexpensive, and I pay cash for everything.
Well,
So
then I'd love to know what you paid.
I have this box truck a client had, and he goes, I'm retiring. Would you be interested? And I said, sure. He said, needs a little work. We had it checked out. We bought it for $3,000. Paid him cash right then. I wrapped it, and nobody knows how old it is. Once you wrap it,
Exactly.
they don't have a clue.
Right,
Anyway.
right.
So we have SUV, a small truck, and a larger truck. A couple warehouses that we're in the process of trying to buy our own to save that money. Right
What's
now
in the
we're
warehouse?
renting them.
What's in the warehouse?
In the warehouse, through the years, I have to tell you how I got started. Through the years, I have built a relationship with all the managers of Kirkland's, these managers, and they call me and they will tell me, hey, we got a demo we're going to get rid of, or we're marking this way down, or whatever. So we buy vignette items. We have small items, breakfast tables and chairs. We have all kinds of artwork, pillows, everything. in these warehouses.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I first started being a fashion merchandise major, I walked into my first house and I thought, there's no way I am going to sell this presentation. So I started de-staging my home to stage their home. That's how I got started. Because I didn't have the money.
Yeah. Use the seller's items as well as the warehouse items. So when you say use the seller's items, what do you mean?
Yeah, we use their furniture if possible, and that's a toughie sometimes. You have to, how I present it, less is better when you're selling a home.
Yeah, that's
you're
right.
moving anyway.
That's right.
Right. Get a pod, get a warehouse, and I go through and I tell them what to store. And if something's really tired looking and really outdated, I tell them to store it. But in their mind, they're storing it because they need space. And then we bring in to plug in what we need to.
Very good. All right, thanks, Sam.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so Craig, let's switch gears. You and I we've talked before about you focusing in on being a true listing agent. But can you walk us back through that experience again? We had you up here before and we talked about the 90/90. Some people don't know what that was. So just as quickly as possible, tell us again about your epiphany experience that you had personally.
90/90 started last year. It's really just a catchy phrase for what you've been talking about for a day and a half now, Gary, which is putting holes in your shoes, rubbing the numbers off the phone, and just getting to work every single day and lead generating.
Yeah.
90/90 started with Tony DeCello. When I went to him and said, hey, I need to do something with my business a little bit different, and his question, right, he never answers. All coaches ask a question back. And he said, well, what one thing will change your business immediately? And I said, listings. He said, well, why don't you go and list 90 homes in 90 days? And I said, okay.
You said okay?
I did actually.
Okay, did he say okay immediately?
Well, pretty much so.
Okay, cool.
Because he said, I have to make a big change. And you know what? Big change only comes with big action.
What Tony didn't know is that in my mind, I said, you know what? If I can get up to 10 or 12 listings a month, right? Shooting for 30, if I can double or triple what I'm currently doing,
Sure.
that's a game changer for
Sure.
me.
Yeah. And that would be the right attitude to take, by the way. That's not a cheating attitude. That would, it's called aim high.
Right.
Yeah, aim high. You
Kind of the
bet.
first chapter of the book, I think.
I think so.
And what
Yep.
I didn't know is that by doing the activities and diving in and actually lead generating consistently for 3 to 4 hours a day, is that I could blast past 10 or 12.
Ah, there was the aha. Yes, that's exactly right.
Immediately.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it really was a change in activities. The 90/90 was only the catalyst to change the activities.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Well, okay, so quickly, what activities changed? How did you ended up with 80 something, I think? you said?
We ended up listing 83 homes in 90 days, so we averaged 28 listings a month during the challenge.
So here's just an interesting question. If everyone went home and did the 90 in 90 challenge, no matter what you got, would it actually transform your life?
Gary, we're right now.
Hang on. What's the answer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now go ahead.
Go ahead. What I was going to say is, we're doing a group coaching program through MAPS with Craig, and the people that are doing it, it's absolutely changing their culture as it pertains to lead generation, as it pertains to focus. You're right. If everybody did it, this whole company would go through a cultural change on lead generation.
Well, and this is what Craig, and God bless you for doing this, by the way, and kind of inspiring all of us. That wasn't your intent, but you actually did, young man. The thing is that's the power of a big goal. If you want your life to change, just go to the blackboard and erase the number that you have written up there and up the number. And by the way, not just in your business, you can go do that in your personal relationships. You can go do this with your dog. I mean, you can literally just go change what you want, change what your expectation is for your life in an area, erase it and write something bigger, and then you'll immediately realize your actions that you're currently taking aren't going to get you there.
Right.
You're daydreaming if you think your life is going to get better aiming at that number. You're going to have to add it. You have to aim at that number
Right.
to raise that up. And that's what you did.
I think our big change, Gary, because I've done that before where I've taken the goal and crossed it off and doubled it. And I didn't believe in it and I didn't do the actions necessary.
There you go.
This time, I did the actions.
Well, it's
I
gotta
came in
change
on
the actions.
Saturdays, Sundays, evenings, weekends. It was really simple. Call 1,000 people a day if necessary and get a listing appointment.
So here's what you discover, and I used to hang up on people, Tony, when I coached them, when they got obstinate about this, because if you set that goal for 30 and 30 and you told me that, well then that's all we're going to talk about. And if in fact we get to the last week of the month and you only have 18 and not 30, I'm going to tell you to kiss your butt goodbye, you know, tell your kids to come do their homework down in front of dad at the office, right? And bring the meals in and everything, or you're taking the entire company to the house because the next 7 days, you have to cancel everything. You're not going to the concert. You're not going out to dinner. You're not doing that. Your life is screwed for 7 days, young man, because you're going to hit that goal. And you know, most people give me all those excuses, and the next thing they hear is bang. And they call me back and they say, I think we got disconnected. And I go, no, actually, I hung up on you. We're done. And I can't tell you how many people I fired right in that moment. Well, because I'm not going to let people dumb my life up. They can do it to themselves, but I'm not going to do it because I've lived on the downside of behaving that way. You know.
It's awesome.
I know.
Can I plug in something?
Yeah, go
to
ahead.
give him a little bit of a kudos. Went to Tony last year, this time last year, and I did the same thing, but I did the 60-90. And it jumped me from 32 million, 44 million to, we're going to close about 60, 62 million this year. So I called Tony, I said 100 million next year, 100 million is my goal. And I'm doing this, I'm in the middle of doing this right now.
There you go.
And Tony said, before you go to bank account, make sure somebody is listing, get that listing. So I'm following his model right now.
Well, making a commitment to what, and be careful to how many goals you set.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So the trick is figuring out what's the one goal you can set that if you only focus on the activities to get that one thing, would everything else fall into place? Well, it doesn't easily fall into place. There's a lot of stuff that happens, right?
There is.
Yeah, yeah.
It
And you have
does
to
fall
deal
in
with it.
place. And it was really, you keep using the word simple, it was really simple. It was list one house a day, right? Evenings, weekends, doesn't matter. It was
Yeah,
one
even if
house.
you
You
had
didn't
to-
go
even-
home, did you? You
even
didn't
if-
go home till you did it, right?
No, I didn't. Even though we didn't hit the goal, there was nothing else that I could have done to hit the goal. I worked every hour, I made every phone call.
I hate to admit this, but I would even tell agents, look, if we get to the last 24 hours and you haven't hit the goal, I want you to call every FSBO and say, we're having a fire sale today.
Awesome.
And I'm going to list your home for whatever you're willing to pay me, because otherwise, right? I'm kidding, of course,
Sure.
but I'm
Right,
not kidding,
right,
right?
right.
I mean, at the end of the day, get it.
Get it.
And start setting it in stone that you're going to get it, or as close as you can, right?
Sure.
Now, let's go forward. So what's happened since then? What does your life look like? Because that's intense. Now what does your life look like? That's what I'm curious about.
It's completely changed.
Okay, talk
Life's
to us about that.
different.
So talk to us about that.
For the first time in 18 years, I have a consistent business, much more consistent. We relied solely on my tenacity, my personal ceiling of achievement before, and now we can show up and we know we make 400 phone calls, we'll have 100 pickups, we'll set 3 or 4 appointments, off completely cold calling a neighborhood, or we can call expireds or for sale by owners, and in 15 pickups, we'll set 1 to 2 appointments and get 1 listing. So it's consistent. We can measure our business on a daily basis, and I've also been able to step away from the listing team. So I'm no longer controlled of going to listing appointments or dealing with, hey, my flyer box is empty, and getting those phone calls. I have not been at a listing appointment this year.
So what role do you play?
OP of the team. I have a team leader, OP of several market centers, MAPS coach, dad, husband,
But not listing specialist.
not listing specialist.
Isn't that interesting?
And what has your listings gone from on a monthly basis?
We're averaging about 15 right now this year, which is 3 times more than prior to the 90-90 challenge. So we've tripled it, and I've stepped away from it.
So how do you get back to the 30 number?
Second listing agent.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So you've discovered that for your market, for the person that you have, their ceiling is around an average of 15.
It seems to be the case right now.
Yeah, and be real careful. Everyone has a different average. And, right, we could have someone else up here and they would say that their person's average is 18. or their person's average is 11. That is totally acceptable. Those are amazing numbers.
They
It
are.
might mean that you have to have 2. You might have to have 3. But you let that person develop as far as they can go, and when you realize that that's their ceiling, with all the support you can give them, for whatever reasons, that's what they can do, and they're okay with that. This is a magnificent life for them, and it's awesome. We go get a second one,
Absolutely.
right?
I think there's got to be a little, the only careful aspect of that, Gary, is 30 is not the number.
Well, I got that.
You know, it's got to be close to the model of that 160 on the listing side.
Yeah.
Because people are going, well, if I can just get somebody to pick up 30 or 35 listings, that's not the model. It's got to be 100 or above.
Tony, he meant 30 a month.
Pardon?
30 a month, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about 30 a month.
Right.
Did you mean 100 a month?
No, 100 a year.
Oh yeah, no. I'm in the world of 300 a year. See, the way you get over
25 a
100,000
month.
people in your company is you focus on one thing. The way you get 30 listings a month or even 15 listings a month is you focus on one thing. It's why, again, the MREA model says lead generation for a listing. The listing is the gold of our industry. It's the gold. We think it's the buyer, but it's not. The gold is not the buyer. The gold, all sellers want buyers, but all real estate agents want listings, right? And if we have listings, we have buyers. So that's how you get the balance of a big business. What do your buyer agents tell you? Do they want you to take more listings?
They do. They
Isn't
do.
that weird?
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't care about them, you don't give them any attention at all, and they love you more now than ever.
without question. Life has got simpler in every way, right? People are, as I shoot now to have a consistent 30 listing a month business, life is easier and it's simpler. I have less headaches. I'm going home earlier. The bigger my business is getting, the better the quality of my life.
Yeah, and what's so amazing about that is that you start by getting the listing. The battle is to get the listing. The second that you get the listing, the battle becomes the battle of getting it priced and staged properly so that your statistics beat the average in the market, so that you're above average, and then you use those statistics to go back and get more business. And then you use those statistics to go back and get more business. So there's a domino effect here of making sure you get the listing and then mastering the art of beating the market statistics so that when you go out there, you've just upped your average phenomenally. You have armed your listing specialist with, right? And then if you use the approaches like the open house approach or any other approach that allows that property the chance to be attractive and to attract buyers, your buyer agents are loving you, and all you're doing is one thing. Focusing on getting that listing and getting it sold. That's all you're focused on, and everybody is happy.
Craig, who do your buyer's agents call? When they're prospecting, are they calling for listings or are they calling for buyers?
For over a year, our buyer's agents every morning are calling for listings every morning.
Isn't that weird? Why would
Not
a buyer
really.
agent do that?
Because where do buyers come from, right?
Yes, that's where they come. Well, most people think they come from Zillow. But Zillow knows they come from listings. That's why they've convinced you that they come from Zillow. So you will give away the listing because you're an idiot.
Right. I was able to cancel Zillow after I started doing 90 and 90.
Oh,
Well, no one
absolutely.
should need them. I mean, and by the way, the consumer doesn't need them. Dadgummit. Her
No.
homes are selling. Their homes are selling. Bob's are selling in 5 days, right? I mean, it's not time to get it up there. Why do we have time to get it up there?
Right.
What is this whole thing of these unsold listings up there for people to window shop? It's because of lazy ass agents. Who, by the way, if they keep it up, they're going to bankrupt everybody because they're going to sell the industry out. We should have a lazy test. You should go choose another profession.
We do. It's called an exit interview.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.